Welcome to the webinar, everybody. If you could just, let me know how things are going for you. You know, how is your market changing, and how are you pivoting to match the changing market needs and position. Good to have that feedback as we're waiting for a few other people to arrive. It's not quite 1 o'clock yet, so we'll give people just a few more seconds to come online before we kick off properly. Thanks for your comments. So great. Thanks, John. Good to know you can all hear me. And yeah, we're gonna stick to typing messages in. If you've got questions, comments, anything you'd like to say, please just type them into the chat box as we go through the webinar. And if there's any questions, I will probably deal with them at the end, unless it seems particularly pertinent at the time, just to keep the flow going. So please let me know how the market's changing for you. What's going on in your marketplace? You know, everything's different. We could kick things off with one thought to get started. It's that the whole market has shifted. Everything's shifted for most businesses, and our marketing has to shift as well to match. And that's really going to be the essence of this presentation today, this webinar. So how's your market shifted? Great you're here, Simon. Glad you could make it, and you dealt with your mini crisis today rather than the crisis that we're in. So let's get started. So as I've said, the market's shifted and our marketing has to shift as well. Really what this crisis has done is forced businesses to do what they should have been doing anyway, really, which is going more online, doing more digital, more virtual marketing than before. And if our marketing focus should have shifted to going online, then now it's really forced us online. And that's going to be the context and the content really of this webinar. And it's really about changing our thinking about online, and offline is probably not going to be working very much anymore. Maybe direct mail, lumpy mail, that kind of thing. But certainly face-to-face networking, getting out and knocking on doors, you know, there's going to be very little of that going on in terms of marketing. So our focus really has to go online, and that's what this is all about. You know, as well as changing how we deliver our marketing, one of the things we need to do is think about changing the messaging. You know, very early on, a couple of weeks ago even, you're seeing adverts on television from cruise companies and cruise ships. Seemed particularly insensitive, and that's going to turn people off their product and service and what they're offering. But that doesn't mean they still can't market. You know, they still should be marketing. They should be talking about what they're doing, what, you know, how this has affected them. You know, thanking their employees for doing the work that they've been doing in keeping people safe on the ships that were already caught in this. You know, their marketing could have changed and should have changed very quickly. So getting the message right is important as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about that too. And I guess the number one place that we all should be looking at is search engine optimization. The problem with that is it's very slow. So, you know, Google is the number one search engine. YouTube, owned by Google, is the number two search engine. But getting search engine optimization right is a 3 to 6 month process. That means we should be starting now, but we really have to be thinking about doing some other things as well. So I'll touch on search engine optimization in Google, but we're going to look at 11 other steps as well to support that in the shorter term. Faster results to support the longer term results from Google. So few comments, but I'll address those shortly. I've lost my navigation at the bottom of the screen, so I'm struggling to move on to the next slide. There we go. Sorry about that, technical issues. So times are uncertain, and many businesses are moving on to a virtual environment. I've said that already. And it's critical to prepare your marketing for that different environment. It's a very different type of thing, and also to think about the needs and wants of your customers. Some businesses are having to change completely. They're not just changing how they're marketing, what platforms they're using to market on, but they're having to think about new products or delivering existing products to new customer groups. And so the whole thing needs to change, and it needs to be done quickly. The speed of this crisis is so much more, and the economic downturn that it's caused is so much faster than any other economic downturn in history. Some of you will have heard me say that already before. And so the marketing needs to shift as quickly, and we need to pivot everything that we do, which might mean pivoting our products, our services, the way we deliver things, but also it means pivoting our strategy and our marketing strategy and our message. So that's the first thing that needs to change, our strategy. We need to shift. And it needs to be focused more and more on inbound marketing. So getting those calls coming to you or the inquiries through your website. Now, if you've been used to having outbound, making outbound calls, networking, and getting most of your business from outbound, then this might be a seismic shift in your marketing focus. You need to go onto inbound, and you need to change the way that you do that. There's going to be loads of things in this presentation to help there. If you've been focused on inbound already, your focus here, your strategy may not be about so much changing everything that you do to market for more inbound. It might be just about getting your message different so that people know you're still available and that you've got products and services that can help them and meet their needs during this. So again, it just depends on where you've come from as to how you need to shift your strategy. So it's about thinking that through and then taking action. Some of this is about figuring out what products and services are going to sell best right now, because everything that you've sold in the past may not be appropriate anymore. So what are the quick wins? What are the easiest sells? What are the door openers? What are the free samples that you can offer that may help to start a conversation with people? Inbound marketing is really about a multi-step approach. Maybe in the past and before we were in crisis, you could tell people exactly what you had for sale. If you're selling jewelry, you could tell them you've got Rolex watches for sale, and people would buy it. Those people who are ready to buy. But now doing that may seem insensitive. So what's the build up to this? What about selling jewelry for anniversaries or birthdays? People are still going to want that, but it needs to be delivered at the right time. So having a way of building up that relationship, being able to communicate with them regularly, so having the opt-in and going through that process. It's a multi-step process now for your inbound marketing, and you need to build those funnels, as they're called, into your marketing processes. And it's about looking at what your core business can deliver in terms of perceived value. So simplifying things, perhaps because we're in a crisis and we're having to think fast-paced. What's your core business? Focus on that, and what's the maximum value that can deliver to your customers' wants and needs right now, rather than focusing on everything that you've always sold, that you've been used to selling, which might just spread you too thin. There's going to be a lot for you to do. There's a lot for us to get through today, and there's going to be a lot to change as you see. Talking of which, take plenty of notes, because you are not going to be able to do all of this at once unless you've got a team behind you helping you to do lots of this. So by all means, write it all down and then figure out what you're going to delegate as part of your action plan. But if you have a smaller team, then look at all of this, get it written down, and then prioritize, because you can't do it all at once. The other thing that's out there right now in the marketplace is a lot more fear. Fear of people's financial positions, fear of the virus itself, fear of people getting too close in supermarket queues. There's anxiety generally in people is higher, but also anxiety in your marketplace. So you're going to need to be sensitive to that in what you market, in what you sell. You know, if your business is in boom, we've got you know, cleaning companies potentially booming right now, and you've got to be sensitive to the fact that other businesses aren't booming, you know, and may not be in that position, and approach your marketing and your messaging to them sensitively and accordingly. You know, it's that message that we're thinking about you. We're still here, we're still operating, we can still deliver what you need, and we are thinking about you. So getting that strategy right, that's step number one. And before you do anything else, think through what your strategy is, how you're going to approach people, and shifting to this inbound marketing, focusing on customer benefits and customer experience through the whole process, and shifting not just your marketing, but the whole of your delivery processes as well, making sure that's clear before you start marketing. And then shifting your message. That's step two. As I've already alluded to, you know, you've got to reflect the current situation. If you're selling holidays on cruise ships, you know, you've got to reflect the current situation and sensitivities towards cruise ships, and that goes for every business. So make sure you empathize, make sure you engage people, and there's a focus now far more in inbound marketing on education. If you're trying to reach out to new customer groups that you've not dealt with before, you need to educate them because they don't know who you are and what you can do. If you've got new products that you're trying to get to even your existing customers or to new customers, you need to educate. You need to change your whole message. You know, we've got a client who's in steel fabrication. They did steel beams for mezzanine floors, and that business has gone for them. You know, they can't at the moment for the next 3 to 6 months. So they've shifted, and they're manufacturing dumbbells and barbells, the weights and the bars. You know, how do you think their message has changed? Their message has changed completely. They're having to deal with a completely different marketplace and a completely different product. So they're having to educate themselves and then educate their audience with their message. You've got to shift your focus from sell and ask. You know, one-step selling may have been the thing for you in the past, but now it's more about how can I help? What can I do for you? How can I give value to build that relationship and move them into the next step until they're ready to sell, so that you're building trust and then selling to them when they're ready. And all of that process is about adding value at every stage so that they start to see you as the person that's got the answers for them. So that, again, is this idea of building the funnel into your inbound marketing so that those people who are ready to buy can, but the ones that aren't, because of the circumstances of the crisis or because of their situation, you're building a relationship with them. You've got to ask yourself, are there people in your marketplace that are still buying? If there are, great, you can sell to them, and you should. You know, don't feel bashful about selling to people right now. We need businesses in the economy that are selling. If every business stops selling right now, then the economy is going to tank far worse than it already is. We need businesses to keep on selling, and people still want to be able to buy things, have their needs met. So, you know, I've heard from some people that they feel a bit awkward selling right now and marketing right now in particular. And there has been some backlash from the public too. But I think you've got to feel brave and feel strong about marketing and selling right now, because the economy needs it. You need it. Your employees need it. Your community needs it. And the economy as a whole needs it. So are there still people in your marketplace that are buying? If yes, great, get out there and sell. If not, then maybe your marketing is about keeping in touch right now and just letting them know you're still there, that you're thinking about them and engaging them in what you do. If you're a restaurant, you can't sell, you've been shut down. Maybe you can pivot to takeaways or providing meals to the NHS or some other or care homes. But maybe you just can't do that. So how can you engage your past customers in your business? Maybe you can reach out to them and ask them what their favorite item is on your menu. Or maybe you can reach out to them and engage with them to co-design the menu that you're going to have when you come back into the marketplace. Help us redesign our menu. What's your favorite meal that you'd like to see back on our menu that we haven't had for a while? That kind of thing. That you can engage with people in an interesting way to keep in touch, even if you can't sell right now. And maybe you're going to need a mix of these things. Some customers you can sell to and others you can't, and you're going to need a mix and match approach for the different segments of your marketplace and your customers. Okay, step 3, update your website and do it now. This may well be the first place that customers come to when they're looking for you right now. They may not want to call because they may not know whether you'll be there or not, so they're going to go to your website. So your website has to be updated immediately. Top of the line, you have to have something on there about the crisis, that you're still here, that we're still working. Some of you will have done this already, but get that on there so that people know that you're still trading. So that's the first thing. Get content on there that shows that you're still operational, that you can still meet their needs. If you're changing products or services, then that needs to be on there too. And then beyond that, you need to go deeper. If you haven't updated your website for a while, start thinking about the SEO so that you can start to get results. Maybe not tomorrow, but down the line. So build SEO via content, blogging regularly. Even daily now, if you're trading less, then maybe you've got time to put the blogs on there. Get employees who can't work writing blogs. If they're furloughed, be very careful about this, but maybe they could even write content that could go on the website, as long as it doesn't look like they're working. It's content providing content is just one of those things that all sorts of people do right now. Maybe they can do it in furlough. Or maybe they can do it for other people. But again, be careful about that because there are some ramifications. But blogging regularly is the point. Blog as often as you can. Vlog even better. So that's video blogging. Video is one of the biggest ways to boost your SEO. Google likes it. YouTube obviously likes it if you put the video onto YouTube and then link it back to your website and embed it on your website. So vlogging's great. Beyond that, get your tags in the background behind the website. So work with your web designer. Get the meta tags updated with coronavirus specific descriptions and headlines if necessary, if appropriate. Get your H1 tags all sorted out, your headline tags, and H2, H3. Go through all of that to make sure everything in the background that the customers don't see is optimized for Google to see, so that Google can find you. Get links to all of your social media on site. That's a great way to connect everything up for your customers, but also for Google to index you. Really important. So link all your social media. If it sounds like there's a lot to do here, there is. And that's kind of the point. So write it down, make a plan, prioritize, and delegate. You really must avoid duplicate content. Google penalizes you for it. Don't plagiarize. Provide fresh, unique, individual content that comes from you that adds authority and credibility. That authority and credibility is really important for your customers to see. But Google are changing their algorithms in order to look for authoritative and credible information, particularly if you're in the health sector, finance sector, health and well-being, medical, those kinds of things. Google is even more hot on that, but it's still looking at ways that it can check content for being authoritative and credible, and that it's original and comes from an expert. So focus on that. Even more, I would say, than keyword stuffing, focus on authority and credibility, and keep doing it even if you can't trade right now, because that's the best way to get your SEO up. Because remember, even if you're unable to trade, it's about preparing so that you're ahead of the curve when we come out of this. And if the SEO is not going to work for 3 months, and you can't do other forms of marketing, or that doesn't seem to add value right now, then focus on the SEO and getting all of this stuff right. And regular blogging is part of that. Get good imagery in there, fresh imagery, new imagery, unique. Don't just copy things, put new things on there. And getting headers and footers right to reflect correct information. And again, Google indexes that kind of stuff to look that it's all up to date and being updated regularly. So a lot to do there just on your website, but vital for SEO. And it's really the cornerstone of all of the other strategies, because the idea is to send everything else to here first. A lot of people use Facebook as their cornerstone, particularly smaller businesses and micro businesses. The problem with that is Facebook is, they own all of the material. They own the copyright on everything. So if you can use your website, have that ready, SEO optimized, and a good professional place for all of your social media marketing to come to, then all the better. So get your website done first and then move on to other things. And then, as I've already alluded to, step up your content. Got your website sorted out, so blogging or vlogging daily, videos where it's at. Not something that I'm particularly strong at or particularly like, but I'm not doing this webinar on marketing because it's my favorite topic. I'm doing it because the market needs it. So I've taken information here from some of the best marketers within Action Coach to condense that down into this webinar for you. Doesn't necessarily mean that I'm the best person at this stuff, but it's come from some of the best sources that I've got access to within the Action Coach community, of 1,000 coaches worldwide. And everything that we're seeing and doing is that video is the place to be. So video blogs and fresh video content on your website and in other places that I'll come to in a moment. So the great thing about having blogging as a core strategy here is that everything else can come from that. So write your blog, 500 words, whatever that is. I'll say a little bit more about this in a moment. And then slice and dice that up to make your social media posts interesting snippets that you can put onto Twitter in 147 characters. It can be a little bit longer now. Longer snippets that you can put on to Facebook, onto LinkedIn to link back to your blog on your website. LinkedIn's a little bit different from a blogging point of view because they have their own blog platform. And the great thing about that is that every time you post on the LinkedIn blog, all of your connections on there are notified in their notification stream. So that's great. So if you're writing a blog for your website, replicate that on the LinkedIn blog as well. And again, I've warned against duplication. So just slightly modify the blog that you put onto LinkedIn so that some of the wording is different, maybe some of the order's different, so it looks a little bit different, so you're not completely duplicating content. So blogging, vlogging daily social media posts multiple times a day to send people to the blog that you've written. So tweets, you could be doing 10 to 50 tweets a day if you've got the capacity to do that. Facebook posts, again, 3 to 5 posts a day. 1 video per day on Facebook. Live stream video on Facebook. Great thing about that, I'll come back to, is the interaction that you can get from the live streaming of video on Facebook. LinkedIn, again, at least 1 post a day on there, in addition to the blog and the post that comes out from that. Instagram, 2 to 3 posts a day on Instagram. Instagram's really one of those platforms which is growing, and the stories on there and the videos that you can put on Instagram is really growing. Instagram TV is growing massively right now, so great for video again. Products, putting products on there, before and after shots if you're in service, construction, or cleaning companies. Before and after shots sometimes can be really difficult to show on a picture or on an image, the before and after, but video can be sometimes better for before and afters, or during, even time lapse for showing how things are done in terms of a process. Great ways to get video onto your website and into your social media content. As well as your blogging, you want your content to encourage people to opt in, so that you can remarket to them through your email lists and that kind of thing. So white papers, case studies, something that is valuable, a checklist, a tip sheet, job aids, so that people have something of value that they want to opt in for. The key there in testing and measuring this kind of thing is to make it consumable quickly. So something that they can get, use, and action quickly. 7 minutes to read and then take something from that and action immediately. That's the key with some of these checklists and tip sheets and job aids, to get people to consume them. We're going to talk a little bit about the funnel from that in a moment. So step up your content and then use that content to do the old McDonald had a farm trick, EIEIO. Entertain, inspire, educate, inform, and open a dialogue. Some of these are easier for some people than others. If you're a magician, as a sideline, it's easy to do magic tricks and entertain as you educate or inform. Maybe entertaining is not your thing. The good news is you don't have to do all of these, just do some of them. So if you've got inspiring stories from customers, get them on there of ways that they've used your products and services to help them. So inspiring stories, interviews with customers can work. Just like I am on this webinar, educate your customers. Doing webinars is great because you can record this and then turn that into a video that goes onto YouTube and link from there onto your website. So again, it's all about leverage. Creating content that you can repurpose. Blogs can be turned into a video if you video yourself talking about it. Webinars can be turned into videos. Transcriptions of webinars and videos can be turned into blogs, and excerpts from them can be turned into social media posts. So leverage your time here to get the maximum content out of the same piece of writing or work or content, because different people again will access different versions of the content. Some people prefer to read, some people prefer video. You can take the video and turn it into a podcast, and some people will prefer that, particularly if they're driving a lot, although that might not be happening quite so much now. So they can listen to it while they're driving. So leverage, be strategic about this, create one piece of content and then get it out there in multiple ways. Use your content to inform, and there's so much going on right now in terms of changing government regulations. The government's changing, updating its advice and its processes on a daily basis, and so there's loads that you can inform customers about. Today the furlough scheme's gone live, so that kind of thing you can inform customers about if you're an accountant. And some accountants doing a great job of informing their customers about things that are going on right now in terms of business support from the government. And finally, most importantly, using content to open a dialogue. Right at the start of this webinar, I asked you, how's your market changing and how are you pivoting to match? Not sure if any of you answered that question, but it was about opening dialogue and getting things going. Let me just check in on that. Yeah, so a couple of comments there from John, gone full circle with social marketing. First thing people cancel in times of troubles is marketing, but you really do need to keep on marketing. That's absolutely right, John. Thanks for that. Keep letting people know that the shop is open. Great. What's John saying about the copy of business? It's fallen off a cliff and has dropped 90%. However, the IT side has only dropped 5 to 10%. Yeah, so it's looking at your product mix and seeing how things have changed and seeing how your marketing needs to change in order to reflect that. So great, we've got engagement going on, we've got dialogue open, and things are moving on. Any other comments and questions? Please do type them into the box while I take a drink. How's the pace of this? I'm going quite fast because I've got a lot to get through. Loads of content I want to get out to you today so that you've got everything all in one go and you can prioritize in your own time accordingly rather than me just giving you 5 things to do and then none of them being relevant. So please do take plenty of notes and prioritize accordingly. So moving on. Blogging and vlogging, as I said, most important thing and the core of your strategy really once you've got your website updated. 97% of companies that have a blog on the website have more inbound links and they're much more effective at getting indexed by Google, 434% more effective. So really important to get blogs on there. Customers see blogs as a authoritative and trusted source of information. So you're going to have far more people coming to your website, staying longer on your website and bouncing less from your website. Which brings me back to another update you need to do on your website is look at your analytics. What are the pages that people are bouncing from? Do you need to update those pages? Make them more interesting for people or delete them altogether. If you're getting 100% bounce rate, no one's reading them or taking any action on them, completely rethink them. And look at the content that people are engaging with, spending the most time watching, viewing, reading, and see what you can learn from that to apply to new blogs and new vlogs to engage people even more. So first thing with blogs is get the headline right. Compelling headlines that engage people, again, open a dialogue, open a question mark in people's heads to want to move forward and read more. And answer some questions that have suddenly been posed for them. So if you want any information on headline writing, I've got a small ebook with lots of headline starters that I'm happy to send to you. Put it in the chat if you'd like that, but equally, because the chat isn't recorded, send me an email at garethshackleton@actioncoach.com. Ask me for the headline starter guide and I'll send that to you. Much more likely to get it that way than putting it in the chat. So headlines most important. Then having a compelling lead first paragraph that leads them from the headline into what they're going to learn and find out, so that they want to find out more. It's basic marketing 101. Attention, interest, desire, action. Your blog should follow that same AIDA formula as all of your other marketing does as well. And then, length of blog, you get different advice on this. I've seen advice recently that it should be 800 to 1500 words, but I think that's too long. And you see some of the real past masters of blogging, like Seth Godin, and some of his blogs are almost just a sentence. Maybe when you're Seth Godin, you can get away with that. So ideally, what you want to do is have something that's 300 to 600 words in length, so it's easily consumable. The longer form of 800 to 1500s, if you've got something that's really engaging for your customer, your market, then maybe And again, vary the length, because some people will want to engage with smaller pieces, get the quick fix and move on or action it. Other people want to read the details. Depends on their personality type. And that's a whole new webinar on using and being aware of different personality types in your marketing. Maybe we'll look at that later in this series. Include subheadings to break up text, so that you don't have one long, particularly if you're going for the 1500 word kind of blog, break it up. Use keywords. Google indexes your blogs based on keywords, and you want your blog to be found for specific things. And this is where you can look at some of the long form keywords, which are search phrases that Google's looking for. They will have smaller search volumes, but there'll be far less competition for them for search engine optimization point of view. So not just single keywords, but search phrases. Get them in there, but don't stuff your blogs with keywords because Google will penalize you. So there's a fine balance to be gained in terms of getting enough keywords in there and stuffing. There are tools available that you can pass your blogs through that will do a audit assessment of your blog from an SEO point of view. If your blog is, or your WordPress is, if your website is built on WordPress, some of those are plugins that you can plug into your WordPress website and automatically get it to scan your blog before you post it to make sure that it's search engine optimized. Don't just do that blindly though, because they will just follow some rules. You know, they might have a cutoff of 600 words, but don't follow these things blindly. Use them as a guide and learn what works best for yourself as well, and follow your own instinct on that kind of thing. Be conversational, informative, and engaging, again using images. And most important, put links into your blogs within your website to other pages within your website. Google likes that, but also externally to other websites, to other sources, particularly ones which are highly authoritative. So again, a lot to think about, but prioritize, delegate, and get things going. Yeah, thanks, Stephanie. Yoast is a really good free tool, plugin for WordPress websites to do SEO optimization. Excellent. Thanks for the encouragement, Charlie. I'll keep going. Next slide. I've already talked about video. Video is so important. I know many of you, like me, may have a phobia of video, but like me, you've got to try and get over it because it's all about video now. 52% of marketers name video as the type of content with the best ROI. So much more valuable to your SEO than just plain text. So much more engaging for your customers. You just have to get video onto your website. Above the fold again, on your landing pages, on your homepage, on your website, in your blogs, in your vlogs, in your explainers for products and services, videos where it's at. The more video, the better. So hosting live interviews. A couple of weeks ago, I did a live interview with Paul Tutelman, an osteopath, as a webinar. But then that was recorded, and that's on YouTube as a piece of video content that will link back to our websites. So a great place great thing to do is to have video interviews. It's not all about you then, so it's less salesy. You can do interviews with customers, with suppliers even, to help them, or partners, so that you've got those interviews going onto your website as good content for your vlog. Podcasts are not just about audio now. You know, record a podcast with video, so it can go onto YouTube as a video. It can go onto your podcasting platforms as just the audio only. So you're repurposing content for multiple platforms. Video can be really good for daily check-ins, you know, Facebook Live for streams, and you can really get engagement going there on the Facebook Live video. And ask those questions on those kinds of platforms and get people to comment in the stream. The downside is there you have to comment back, but that's what it's all about. If you're not commenting back on Facebook and getting that live engagement, then you may as well not do live at all. Save yourself the effort. So get people to engage and respond and comment back, which is a good time for me to check the comments here. So will we be getting the slideshow presentation? Yeah, I'm recording this, John, so it will go onto YouTube. I'll send a link, so you'll have that. And you've started doing videos as well, discussions on LinkedIn. But what would I say? What you would say is keep it short, as people may get bored if they're too long. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good point. The TEDx format of 8 to 10 minutes works, and it works for a reason. I think it's short enough to be engaging for people to pick up and consume over a cup of tea in a break. So that kind of 10-minute format works really well. But again, vary it. Some videos need to be long. This will be an hour long, plenty of content. But I can slice and dice this as well now, into smaller bits of content. Each of the steps can be its own video. So vary the content from a couple of minutes for a how-to on your website to 8 minutes for vlogging, to longer form as well, if you've got more to say. Keep your social media fresh and keep it up to date, and use the 90-10 rule with social media. And what are the 2 platforms that are going to get you 90% of the attention? That way you can keep this simple. So figure out who your target market is, who your target audience is, and pick the right platforms for you. For me in B2B, LinkedIn and probably Facebook as well. Although I don't do an awful lot on Facebook at the moment. For you, it might be different. It might depend upon the age of your consumers. Younger people are on Instagram, they're on Snapchat and TikTok, that kind of platform. Slightly older, maybe on Facebook, B2B on LinkedIn. So choose your platform accordingly, but pick the 2 that are going to get you the most attention, and then experiment with the other platforms just a little bit to see if there's any traction that you gain there that you can then apply. Maybe also use those other platforms to test and measure things. So Twitter, with its short form, is a great place to test headlines that you can then use in your email marketing, as headlines for LinkedIn, for Facebook. So if you get engagement with a particular short excerpt on Twitter, you can then use that in other content on other platforms. So using your social media strategically. Make your posts shareable. Add links, make it so that people want to share it because it's interesting or surprising, shocking maybe, so that it engages with people and they want to be able to share it. Again, credible information, authoritative information will help there as well to make it shareable. Using hashtags so that it hooks in other people in Twitter, in LinkedIn, for example. Link to your website. Always link your social media to your website, because again, this is about your website becoming the hub of everything that you do online. So your posts on social media need to link to your website, and your content, your white papers, your checklists can all be promoted through social media. One thing I forgot to mention about the blogging is every blog should have a call to action. So a link to a white paper that you've got, a webinar that you're doing, an event that you're holding, a call to action on your blogs, so that any social media that goes to your blog produces that or sends them to that call to action. But equally, your social media can have that call to action directly in there. Download our white paper on how to market during the coronavirus pandemic, for example. And again, asking questions opens that loop, opens that dialogue, poses challenges, and engage people when they're live. So keep it fresh, keep it active, lots of posting on social media, and the frequency of posting on your social media needs to be related to the platform. 10 to 50 tweets a day, but you're not going to do 10 to 50 posts on Facebook a day. Keep that 2 to 3, up to 5. Now, paid marketing. If you've got a post on Facebook that engages people, that people like to engage with, that they shared, that they liked, then use that feedback to boost that post. And that way you can reach a wider audience on Facebook in particular. Facebook's boosting platform and Facebook advertising is incredibly flexible. So a great thing to do here is to get very targeted with your Facebook. So instead of trying to boost it to the biggest audience as possible, break it down into chunks. So you could do that geographically. It could be you focus on Newcastle or Sunderland, and different boosts for Newcastle, different boosts for Sunderland, for Durham, or outside the region, if you're national. So London, Manchester, Leeds, just different adverts for different places. That way you can get back more information from your marketing budget. You can segment that in different ways, by age, by profession, by interests. Facebook has all of that capability to segment your marketing. So use it, set smaller budgets per boost, but use that to get back more information on how and who is engaging with your material. Again, strong call to actions, add buttons so that it's clear that there's something for them to do. Make it eye-catching with imagery, keep it simple and short on text so that people don't have to read too much. Little short videos can work really well on Facebook posts that you're going to boost, or on Facebook ads. And as I've suggested, test and measure, track performance by segmenting and understanding the feedback that you're getting back from customers. Lots of comments coming in, so I'm just going to take a second to have a look. Thanks, Claire, for the feedback. Linking out of posts to your website. Always put your link in the comments. On most social media platforms will strangle your reach if you're taking people away. Yeah, Facebook will gives you that option to send people to your website, but they want you to stay on their platform just as you want them on your website. So be aware of that too. Thanks, Stephanie. So all of this is about database building, really, because you've got your social media driving people to your blogs, which are driving people to your opt-ins, so that you can capture their contact information and send them information about things that they're interested in, complying with GDPR, of course. So database building, if you've not got a database, then you've got to start from scratch. If you have, we're going to come on to how to use it in a moment. But you've got to be focused on building your database, whether that's just an email database using tools like MailChimp, or whether it's a database that contains and uses more information than that. Go through, clean it out, get it up to date, and start thinking about how you can best populate that with your social media, your online virtual strategy. So to do that, you're going to have to optimize your opt-in pages. You're going to have to look at your email segmentation in your database. You're going to have autoresponders going on, which welcome new subscribers, and which then provide valuable email content, as well as your regular monthly newsletters. What else are you sending out? What email sequences may you send out after they've opted in to a checklist or to a program? making sure that you've got GDPR and privacy all connected up, and keeping everything tip-top from a deliverability point of view in terms of email in particular. So keep your lists clean and refreshed, so that helps your email providers to keep their deliverability high, and so they don't penalize you. So focus on your database, because then that allows you to do email marketing. So get your email marketing up to date, get it segmented, so that you're not sending out all of the same emails to all of the same people all of the time, because that looks too much like spam. So segment your market by putting them in different groups in your database, or segmenting them by tags. Different platforms have got different ways of doing that segmentation, but it's really important that you do that, spend time doing that. Maybe something best delegated to someone who spends their time managing your database, particularly if you have a large database. Again, if you've got a large database, you can test and measure what works. So split testing, A/B testing as it's called, is critical to doing this. If you've got tens of thousands of people in your database, taking a few hundred to test headlines for open rates and for click rates is really important. So test 10 headlines with a few hundred people each, see which ones work, and then send out the best ones to the rest of the database. Choose meaningful metrics. It's not just about open rates. Click-through rates are important as well. Personalizing your content in your dear such and such in your headline, or just under your headline inside the body of the email, so that they know it comes from them, but also through the material, and also in what content that you give them, you send to them. Consider frequency. How often's too often? How frequent's not frequent enough? Which days have worked best for your marketplace? These are all market specific, so can't say without thinking about your business specifically. What times of day? Again, that's going to be dependent upon your market. But it's all about testing and measuring that to maximize open rates. So again, you can split test that kind of thing. Adhere to GDPR, obviously, so that you don't get caught by the spam. And I have one thing more to say about personalizing, and it's gone from my mind. I'll come back to it. So email marketing, this is how you build your funnel. You get people opting in, getting their content that they can consume quickly and action immediately, and generate results from. But then it's about keeping in touch with them. So how are you going to keep in touch with them? It's going to be through your email marketing and sending something regularly to keep in touch, and then offer the next level of engagement. Because right now, again, as has always been, some people are ready to buy, and you need to be able to sell to them, and they need to know that you're open to sell to them directly. But everybody else may be ready to buy soon or later. So it's about engaging with them, building that relationship, and being ready to sell to them when they're ready to buy. And if you can't sell anything right now because you're shut down, it's about keeping that engagement going. I'm seeing some great things coming through from hotels, for example, sending them kids activity packs if they're a family-friendly hotel, for things to do during the Easter holidays, homeschooling packs that hotels are sending through, to build that and relationship with customers, even though they can't go and stay at the hotel right now. Sorry, I've just jumped one there. Missed the platform. All of these, the last two steps, and the next two steps are all linked. So landing pages. This is a great way to keep your website fresh, but also to get that opt-in and to optimize the opt-in. So landing pages are a page that's specific for people to download the material, the engageable, actionable material that people will be prepared to give you their email address for. So why a landing page and not just another page on your website? Landing pages are specific. You know, the opt-in is right at the top above the fold so that people know that they can opt in. There's useful information there. Again, video, great place for video to describe what it is that they're going to be able to do as a result of consuming the download. You can send them from here to a thank you page where you can put another video to tell them what events or webinars or other things that they can be doing as a result now that they've opted in. So you can link all of these things together, and that's most easily done from a landing page. Again, take all of the other navigation away from your landing page. So your links to the home page, to the blog, to your About Us page, to the general privacy policies on your website. Take those away so that people aren't distracted by lots of other links, because this landing page has just one job to do, and it's to convert them to enter their information into the opt-in box and download your content so that you can then build that relationship with them. So you take all of the links away so that there's no distraction, and all they have to do is fill in the box. So keep it simple, make it fast, design it for mobile consumption. So just like your website, it has to be responsive so that it looks good on a mobile phone or tablet. And probably one of the quickest ways to develop these is to use templates, using platforms like Lead Pages, ClickFunnels, or again, a plugin on your WordPress website if you've got WordPress that can build landing pages quickly and easily. It is quick to do this. That's one of the benefits of a landing page. You can build multiple landing pages so that you can, again, split test which ones work, which ones don't. Does video work? Is video necessary? So you can put multiple landing pages onto your website very quickly, send people to different landing pages from different social media so you can see which sources are working best, but also which landing pages work best once you've got engagement there. So you can build several of these in a day and test and measure, and then keep the ones that work. So again, a good way to test headlines and different content on there. Step 12, I talked right at the beginning about SEO, and it's got to be the number one place to focus on. I've talked about it throughout this presentation, but it is much slower than some of the things that we've already talked about, such as social media, blogging and vlogging for direct engagement. But ultimately, you want to be building search engine optimization so that Google works for you. But while SEO is slow, Google's other tool, AdWords, is really quick. And the fantastic thing about AdWords is that you're putting yourself in front of people who are ready to buy now. If you're using buy now keywords in your Google ads, then people who are finding your ads are ready to buy. So it's instant. You know, they click on the link, which could be to your downloadable resource, if it needs to be multi-step, or it could be directly to your product to buy now. So it's instant. You don't need to worry about building that search engine optimization. So some basics, again, ensure your zone and currency are set up correctly. Google is great. They provide lots of training to help you to do this. So follow the training programs if you don't already know how to do it. Lots of it is stepwise. So things like setting the zone and the currency, you just go through step by step and fill it in. But you know, if you don't do that, it looks wrong. So focus on some of these simple things. Get the target location right. Set a budget. I mean, it's just part of the process. But but do it based on the goals that you have. If you want to reach or have downloads of 100 downloads, that changes the budget you're going to need to set than if you're just looking for 10. So set budget based on your goals. Use Google Analytics and link up your Google AdWords account with your Google Analytics so that you can see not just the click rates from your ads, but also how many people are appearing on the page that you're sending them to. I've seen in the past there have been doubts as to whether these things are connected properly or whether there's lots of Google bots coming from your AdWords to boost the spend compared to how many people are actually landing on the web pages. So connect up your Google Analytics with your AdWords so you can see that the things are matching up. And then again, just like Facebook ads or boosting Facebook posts, build lots of ads with a few tightly focused keywords so that you can test and measure and see which works best. And then use the information that you get from that in building blogs with the right headlines, with social media posts with the headlines. So again, doing all of this strategically so that it all connects together and it saves you time and money by being strategic about these things. So a little bit more on Google AdWords just before I wrap up. I'm just running over time a little bit here, so I hope that's okay with everybody. But again, what are your goals? So are you focusing on clicks, on impressions, on conversions? You need to focus on different things depending on what your goals are. So check that you're using bidding on the right things based on the goals that you've got. Take advantage of conversion tracking and also on remarketing through Google AdWords. If people have clicked on your ad because they're interested but then don't buy, then go back through into Google AdWords to remarket so that you can pick them up later on different platforms and keep front of mind. Taking advantage of audiences, split testing again, as I've said, and use Google AdWords to send them to high quality landing pages. The last thing you want is to spend money on Google advertising if you then just end up sending them to a very low quality landing page that doesn't convert well or has a high bounce rate. So that's why you need to do the landing page optimization first, then come to Google AdWords to drive traffic, test and measure, connecting your AdWords account with your Google Analytics account, and then you can see whether you need to optimize your landing pages again. So really important to do all of this in a connected up, joined up way. So as I've said, lots of information there that I wanted to get through so that you had everything and then you could focus on the things that you need to prioritize on. So just to finish up, a couple of key messages, and while I'm just going through those, make a note for yourself, go back through your notes. What are the 5 things that you need to do now? This is your chance to think about the actions that you need to take as soon as you get off this webinar. So the key messages: do more marketing, not less. Some of you have said that in the chat already. Update your plan. Whatever plan you had coming into this crisis may need to be ripped up and started again because it's completely different now. People's buying patterns are different. People's needs are different. People's sensitivities and fears are different. There's a scarcity mindset far more than there was. So you need to change your plan. Shift how and where you market, shift who you're marketing to, shift your message, and reallocate budget to new channels. And then most importantly, test, measure, and adapt. If it's working, fantastic. If it's not, take the data and change what you're doing. So finally, 2 things about this. If you want to have a look and see what a landing page could look like, use this link. I'll put it in the chat in a moment as well, so you can just get a direct link from there. use this link to go and have a look at a landing page. Even if you don't want to watch the 30 minutes a day of videos that you'll find there of Brad going through a 10-day Survive and Thrive program through the COVID virus. That's Brad Sugars, the founder of Action Coach. Even if you don't want to follow the program, sign up anyway, because that will give you a chance to see what a 10-day email sequence looks like, so that you can model that for your own marketing. So as I say, this isn't about selling you anything. It's a free program, but your email will be in there, but you can opt out once you've been through it as well. So no need to worry about that. So have a look at this. I will, in a moment, just put that into the chat box for you. So hopefully you're making a note of the 5 things, and while you're doing that, I'll just see if there are any other questions. So if you've got any questions that you'd like to ask, please do so now while I go through the questions, and I'll answer those as well. Alistair, yeah, no worries, Alistair. I'll send you a link to the recording of this webinar on YouTube so that you've got that. Thanks, Stephanie. Is the Google training free? Yeah, a lot of the Google resources that Google provides are completely free, full programs that you can access to learn how to do Google AdWords. They've also got great resources on how to do search engine optimization, completely free. Facebook has training resources, LinkedIn does too. So great places to get that as a starting point. So that's just about it. I will put this link into the chat for you in a second. Just bear with me while I copy it. And if there are no other questions, then I will wrap things up. There you go. There's a link there for the landing page for the 10-day program there for you to go and have a look at. You can see what a landing page looks like. You can opt in and see what the back end of that looks like, the thank you page and everything else, and then see what the email sequences look like afterwards. So thanks very much, everybody. I hope you've had some great value there. Prioritize, change your plan, test, measure, and adapt, and enjoy the application. Thank you, Simon. Just wish you had something which lent itself better to online sales. Yeah, Simon, I think online sales for some things can be a bit more challenging, but I see roofing contractors providing checklists for doing household checks. So that could apply to plumbers as well. Simple things that people can do to check their plumbing, do an annual check of their plumbing systems, for example. I don't know, I'm making this up, so need a little bit more time to brainstorm this kind of thing. But the kind of downloadable, easy to consume opt-in can work for almost any business these days. As long as the content's useful and engaging, it can work. So I guess the thing here is don't be constrained by past thinking. Consider what you might be able to do in the future, because everything's different and everything has to have a much more online focus. So consider what you can do rather than what you can't do, and test and measure, see if it works. Thanks, John. Yeah, I'm doing well, keeping busy. Hopefully, as you see, businesses still need training, education, coaching, learning. In fact, the pace of learning has to increase right now, just as we react to the crisis. So I'm keeping busy and also trying to add lots of extra value into the community by doing free webinars like this. So look out for my next free webinar next Monday. If you've got any requests for webinar content, please do put it in the chat box or send it to me by email, and I will try to accommodate that for whatever you need right now in terms of learning or information, education. Willing to try and provide it. The other thing I'm also providing right now is 5 free hours of coaching for businesses a week that just need that, that 1 hour of help that can help them to change their mindset about what's going on, help them to shift their strategy quickly. So if you know anybody in the community that could just benefit from 1 hour of time with a coach to pivot, then please do let them know, and I'll fit that into my diary, into my 5 free slots that I'm offering each week. So thanks, John, for asking. I appreciate that. Hope you're doing well too. Sounds like at least part of your business is still holding up strong. If there's anything I can do to help, please let me know. Thanks, Alistair. Thanks for your time too. Thanks, Stephanie. Thanks, John. Presenting by webinar is very different to presenting live, but appreciate the feedback. Enjoy having to adapt. Yeah, it keeps things fresh, doesn't it, John? Having to keep things, keep changing things, as long as it's not change for change's sake. But if anything's true now, we have to change, and it can be exciting. Yeah, sharing ideas and good news is very welcome. I did start a WhatsApp group where we could do exactly that, John. So I will invite everybody who's been on this webinar to that WhatsApp group. And if there are any ideas and good news stories that you'd like to share on there, anybody would like to share on there, that would be great. Because I think staying positive and sharing best practices and what's working is really useful for lots of people right now, and a really good way to give something back and to contribute something positive. So I'm going to close the webinar now. Thanks for your engagement and typing into the chat box. Really appreciate your time today, and do look out for my next webinar next Monday at the same time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.